And let's talk about Green Day. So, as y'all know, Green Day is going to be scheduled alongside Bad Bunny. Well, not alongside, but they will before Bad Bunny brings his butt out on the stage. Green Day will be performing um, for the Super Bowl. Now, they also did the Super Bowl pre-party, and they basically, of course, got political. Now, people, now I know I shouldn't say it like that because Green Day has always been political. You know, when you're a punk rock musician, punk rock artists have always been political. They've been political for eons. Back when they came out with American Idiot, that was a political album. When they came out with so many of their records and what they do on stage has been their political band. Or their, I wouldn't even call them political band. They just basically will speak out against any establishment or the atrocities of what's going on in the world. So, and as I said before, as an artist, they have a right to do that. So, Billy Joe Armstrong basically made it clear that he is not here for ICE, basically. So the Basket Case singer who is set to perform during the opening ceremony at Super Bowl LX alongside his bandmates on Sunday shared a candid message directed toward immigration and customs enforcement during a performance on Friday night. So he says, this goes out to all the ICE agents out there, whoever you are. And that's what he said from the stage at an invitation-only concert held at San Francisco's Pier 29 on the Embarcadero, which is sponsored by FanFuel and Spotify. He said, quit that shitty job you have. Now, Armstrong went on to project that at some point in the future, key figures in the Trump administration would abandon the people enforcing their immigration policies, saying, quote, because when this is over, and it will be over at some point in time, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, well, all of them will be in jail before, hopefully, when all this dust settles, except Donald Trump. Nothing ever touches him. Teflon Don is literally who he is. I mean, he's shitty Don, but also Teflon Don, because nothing touches him. Everybody else go to jail, but he don't. Now he said they're going to drop you like a bad effing habit. Come on this side of the line. Now Armstrong also reportedly amended 2 of Green Day's hits to include more timely political targets with the lyrics as he has in past performances. During American Idiot, the singer changed the line, I'm not part of the redneck agenda, so I'm not part of the MAGA agenda. Well, he's always done that because even when he came to Citi Field and I worked his show, or the Green Day concert, which was excellent, by the way. I'd never seen them live, but I had a great time with them. And I was on the floor too in that heat. So that was a great show. And he's always changed the lyrics of that to the MAGA agenda. So that's nothing new. And they also said, additionally, while performing Holiday, Armstrong changed the line, the representative from California has the floor, to the representative from Epstein Island has the floor. Now, at the beginning of that song, Armstrong said, this goes out to Minneapolis in reference to the city that has been seen widespread ICE activity and resulted in the slayings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy last month. Now, reps for the White House, well, we don't give a fuck what the reps of the White House have to say or what Homeland Security has to say, because there's always going to be some corny thing. Oh, they're irrelevant. Oh, they're corny. Oh, they're tired. Oh, nobody cares about them. Whatever. It's always the same bullshit that they say every time when somebody goes against whatever type of agenda that they're doing, some smoke screen to deflect from these Epstein files and all these other things. And child, let me tell you, I read a lot of the Epstein file stuff. I gagged over some of the things in there. Many of children were unalived, tortured. It's like literally all kinds of stuff that these rich people have been involved in. And so it was absolutely crazy. Like when I was hearing about all these things that's going on up in there and how there's a well-known publicist. They even tried to drag Timothée Chalamet name into that one point because he was working with Woody Allen, Soon-Yi, that stink bitch. I mean, don't even get me started on her. Now I can see why Mia Farrow was the way she was toward that girl. So it was a lot of stuff that was coming out in the Epstein files that I was shocked over. And shout out to the Midas Touch, because the Midas Touch, they said that there was some stuff that was available for public consumption that the White House deleted. They actually saved a lot of the stuff, and they was reading and posting all the other stuff on their page and on their Substack, and also talking about it on their show. So if you ever get a chance, definitely check out what they're doing with that situation. Also, Kyle Kulinski did a 1-hour reading of a lot of the stuff from the Epstein files on his show. So the people shout out to all of y'all out here doing the Lord's work and really exposing these oligarchs and these rich people who really are the ones pulling the puppet strings in this country and worldwide for who they are. And it's funny how like a lot of the European politicians and people who are involved in this stuff are getting what's coming to them. But in America, nothing. Because we have Democrats who are complicit and want to be partisan and don't want to hold people's feet to it. Because that man, the current president, could have been in jail years ago if him and Merrick Garland did what they were supposed. If Biden and Merrick Garland would have done what the hell they were supposed to do, but they didn't. Because, as I say, both parties are two sides of the same, two wings on the same bird. So Trump previously opposed the decision to hire Green Day for the Super Bowl performance and also condemned Bad Bunny's upcoming set, even though he said that the reason why he's not going to the Super Bowl is because it's too far, which we all know is BS because you have Air Force One that you could just jump on and they could fly your fat ass to the goddamn Super Bowl. But the fact is, you don't want to get booed. You're not being favored a lot by a lot of the American people. People are pissed. People don't want nothing to do with you. And recently they had at the Olympics, which they tried to clean that up over on all the media. This is why you can't trust mainstream media because y'all are all part of this whole thing where people can't be trusted. Both sides. You didn't even have Fox News didn't even mention any of the Epstein files or whatever the case is, but they got time for Bad Bunny and mocking his name and spilling fake propaganda about his lyrics and just taking a visual from taking a visual from one of his music videos and trying to say that he's all about satanic this, that. I was like, come on, and y'all think because your base is full of bigoted, least educated white people that then they can't just go on social media and Google his lyrics and do a little Google Translate and figure out that that's not what it's about. He's far from that. Now, if you want to really take apart somebody's lyrics and side-eye him, is Mr. Fake Family Values Kid Rock, which we're about to get into him after this story. So I call BS on that whole thing. The reason why is because you're not very popular right now. And that's why he don't want to go to the Super Bowl. And quiet as it's kept, don't nobody want your ass there anyway. Because every time this man shows up at events where it's really hard to get into, it causes more chaos. I remember the times when he came to MSG and I had to get into where it was hell. When Trump came, when they did we did his rally at MSG, and when he came for the UFC thing. But then when his popularity started diminishing again, he didn't show up to the last UFC event we had. Thank God he didn't. Then it was like the U.S. Open. I had friends of mine who was working the event. I could work the U.S. Open I wanted to, but I can't because the hours is crazy and the demand. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Not for no 2 weeks. And plus, they take too much money out of your damn taxes, which is another complaint that a lot of my coworkers have had. So I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. It's not worth it. Not me. Been wound up with my feet killing me and my back killing me and all this other stuff. I got to wear a back brace. It's like, yeah, when you get older, you start feeling all the things. So, David said it was hell getting into the U.S. Open when he was showing up. So I don't think people want to be dealing with that. It's going to be too much chaos with people trying to get into they just want to get in and watch the football match and everything. And they just want to be able to say that they were there. And bad enough, people spent so much money going to the Super Bowl just to go to the Super Bowl. So people don't want to be dealing with all that extra stuff because you want your ego stroked. So best bet, stay in your little bunker that you're creating in the East Wing of the White House and continue punching the air and posting your lives on live social, and Green Day, shout out to y'all, do y'all thing. But now, before I wrap this up, I came across this story over on Rob Shutter's Substack about Bad Bunny, what he was talking about that Jay-Z is basically pushing that, because I didn't really have the Bad Bunny story, but I was just like, to combine it all together, I was like, this was an interesting story. So yeah, so he said that Jay-Z is basically pushing Bad Bunny to really push the boundaries in regards of tonight's performance. So he says, sources tell Naughty But Nice that Jay-Z is encouraging Bad Bunny to take a bold, boundary-pushing approach to his upcoming Super Bowl halftime show appearance. And yes, that includes wearing a dress and flying the Puerto Rico flag on the world's biggest stage, saying Jay wants this to be fearless, not shocking for shock's sake, but culturally powerful. Well, I got to stop you there because I feel like when you start doing the dress thing, which is what Fox News tried to weaponize in order to rile up some of their base. You know, a lot of these men who are uncomfortable with anything that got to do with gender, anything with playing around with gender norms or whatever the case is. So it's like, oh look, who wants to be a fan of Bad Bunny? He wears a dress and he's doing this, and it's like that's a man who's comfortable in his skin with who he is, and you're trying to go after these people who aren't comfortable with who they are and trying to rile them up. So yeah, if you do the whole dress thing and you're gonna be up there making out with dudes or whatever the case, which Bad Bunny has done in the past. I think he did that. When did he do that? During one of his performances where he kissed the guy, whatever, and kissed the girl, whatever, and everybody was all up in arms. I'm like, whatever. So that does feel like, okay, you're doing it for shock value or waving the Puerto Rican flag. If you're going to give a message, I feel like Bad Bunny is smart enough to not do things where he's going to invoke shock value. Oh, I need to do this to try to pluck a nerve or get attention. He'll find ways to get his message across without having to make it feel forced. So I'm hoping that whatever he comes up with, it's to send a message and to unite and to bring people together. And those of you who don't want to be a part of the situation and want to keep the whole division and hating on people based off the color of their skin or their race or their sexual orientation, if that's what you want to do, then you go over there and create you a little bunker and just separate yourself from the world, because I just feel like a lot of these people are just mad that society is changing, the world is evolving, and y'all just can't keep the fuck up. So Jay-Z, through his company Roc Nation, serves as the NFL's live music entertainment strategist, giving him final say on halftime performers and major creative direction. He's also deeply involved in the league's NFL Inspired Change initiative, which focuses on social justice, representation, and cultural impact, saying, quote, Jay keeps saying this moment has to mean something. Bad Bunny represents identity, freedom, and global Latin power. Why play it safe? Well, I don't think Bad Bunny's ever played it safe. Like, even with this album where he was talking about, because I did watch his interview with Apple Music, where it was Zayn and Ebro was basically the co-host, and they were talking, and he was just talking about, like, when he came up with his album, Debbie Mas Fotos, he basically said that he just wanted to dive deep into his culture and really understand what, a lot of his upbringing, his culture and all this stuff, and just want to incorporate that in the record. He wasn't doing all of this to win Grammys or whatever the case was. He comes in he shows up as his authentic self all the time. He's not trying to be anything he's not. And I think that's why people resonate so much with Benito, because he is relatively himself. He doesn't just show up and be like, well, I need to pander and I need to do this. So if this story turns out to be true, it's like, well, y'all really don't know Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny's never been the type to just come in and just like, oh, I got to do things for shock value's sake. He does whatever he does, it has to come from a place of authenticity. And I think that's why a lot of people connect and resonate with him a lot more. So with all that being said, I'm definitely looking forward to exactly what it is Bad Bunny is going to be doing tonight. I will definitely be watching the halftime show, and we'll be talking about it on tomorrow's show. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are,